Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. See, the world don't always tell your worth out loud. Sometimes people decide your value by watching how you move, how you act, and what you allow. And if you're not careful, you'll teach people to treat you less than what you deserve without ever saying a word. I learned this the hard way, and I'm here to make sure you don't have to. First thing you got to understand is this: how you handle your time is how people measure your value. If you're always available, always saying yes, always putting yourself last, people won't respect your time and they won't respect you. See, your time is your life. Every minute you give away is something you'll never get back. When you start being intentional about where your time goes, when you stop entertaining things that don't serve your purpose, people notice. You don't have to announce it. They just feel it. High-value people don't chase time, they protect it. And when you start doing that, you silently tell the world, I matter. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you deeper into something that most people overlook. But it's shaping your life every single day without you even realizing it. Your time, the way you treat it, the way you give it, the way you protect it, that right there is one of the loudest statements you make about your worth. And the truth is, people are always watching. They may not say nothing, but they see everything. You see, when you're constantly available for everybody, when you drop what you're doing the moment somebody calls, when you keep saying yes, even when it costs you your peace, you might think you're being kind, you might think you're being helpful. But what you're really doing is teaching people that your time is not valuable. And if your time ain't valuable, then in their mind, neither are you. That's a hard truth, but it's a necessary one. I had to learn this myself. There was a time in my life when I was saying yes to everything. Every request, every opportunity, every distraction. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought being busy meant I was getting closer to success. But all I was doing was spreading myself so thin that I had nothing left for what truly mattered. I was tired, frustrated, and stuck. And then it hit me, just because something asks for your time doesn't mean it deserves your time. See, time is the one thing God gave you that you can never get back. Money, you can lose it and make it again. Opportunities, they come and go. But time, once it's gone forever. So every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your purpose, you're saying no to something that could change your life. And most people don't even realize they're making that trade. Now let me tell you what happens when you start valuing your time differently. When you begin to say no to things that drain you, when you stop overcommitting, when you become intentional about where your energy goes, people notice. At first, they might not like it. Oh yeah, they'll question you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're acting different. But what they're really saying is, I can't access you the way I used to. And that's exactly the point. Because when you respect your own time, you force other people to respect it too. You don't have to demand it. You don't have to argue for it. Your actions speak louder than anything you could ever say. When you stop being available all the time, your presence becomes valuable. When you're not always around, people start appreciating the moments you are. Scarcity creates value, and that applies to your time just as much as anything else. And let me be clear about something. Protecting your time is not about being rude. It's not about ignoring people. And it's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about understanding that your life has a purpose, and your time is the currency that funds that purpose. You can't afford to spend it carelessly. Every hour you waste on things that don't matter is an hour taken away from your growth, your dreams, your future. You got to start asking yourself some real questions. Is this worth my time? Is this helping me grow? Is this moving me closer to the life I want? And if the answer is no, then you got to have the strength to walk away from it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it disappoints people. Because at the end of the day, you're not responsible for managing everybody else's expectations. You're responsible for managing your own life. Successful people understand this at a different level. They don't just manage time, they guard it. They treat it like something precious, something sacred. They don't let just anything or anyone interrupt their focus. And that's why they're able to build, to grow, to achieve at a level most people only dream about. It's not because they have more time than you, they just use it better. And when you start doing the same thing, something powerful happens inside you. You begin to feel more in control, more focused, more aligned. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you're no longer trying to do everything for everyone. Instead, you're doing the right things for yourself. And that shift, that quiet decision to take your time seriously, it changes how you see yourself. Because now you're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. You're no longer letting people decide your schedule, you're deciding what matters. And that's when your worth begins to rise, not just in the eyes of others, but in your own heart. And I'm telling you right now, once you reach that point, you'll never go back. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about something that can change your entire life if you truly understand it, the way you respond to disrespect. Not the way you talk about it, not the way you feel about it, but the way you respond in the moment when somebody crosses a line with you. Because right there, in that exact moment, you are teaching people how to treat you without saying a single word. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They think ignoring disrespect makes them the bigger person. They think staying quiet, laughing it off, or brushing it aside keeps the peace. But what they don't realize is, every time you tolerate something that goes against your value, you are silently giving permission for it to happen again. You are setting a standard, and that standard is lower than what you actually deserve. I've seen it happen over and over again. People stay in situations where they are not respected because they're afraid of conflict. They don't want to seem difficult. They don't want to lose relationships. So they keep quiet. They let things slide. They tell themselves, it's not a big deal. But let me tell you something. It becomes a big deal when it keeps happening. And it keeps happening because you never showed where the line was. See, respect is not something you beg for. It's not something you negotiate. It's something you demonstrate. And you demonstrate it by what you allow and what you refuse to accept. If someone speaks to you in a way that diminishes you, and you say nothing, they learn that it's okay. If someone takes advantage of your kindness, and you keep giving without boundaries, they learn that you are available for exploitation. Not because they're bad people necessarily, but because you never corrected the behavior. Now let me explain something else, because this is important. Standing up for yourself does not mean being loud, aggressive, or disrespectful in return. A lot of people think they have to match energy with energy, but that's not strength, that's reaction. Real strength is calm. Real strength is controlled. It's being able to look someone in the eye and say, without raising your voice, that's not okay with me. And then standing on that, no matter what, because when you respond with calm confidence, you do two things at once. First, you protect your dignity. You show that you respect yourself enough not to accept less. And second, you send a clear message that you are not someone who can be easily pushed around. That kind of energy makes people pause. It makes them think twice before crossing you again. Not because you scared them, but because they recognize your boundaries are real. Let me tell you something else. People will test you. Oh yeah, they will. Not always in obvious ways, sometimes in small ways. A joke that goes too far, a comment that feels off, a situation where they take more than they give. And in those small moments, your response matters more than you think. Because those little tests, they build the pattern, and the pattern becomes your reality. If you pass those tests by standing firm, by addressing things early, by showing that you are aware and unwilling to tolerate disrespect, the pattern becomes one of respect. But if you fail those tests by staying silent, by letting things slide, by hoping it won't happen again, the pattern becomes one of disrespect. And once that pattern is set, it's much harder to change. Now I know some of you are thinking, but what if I lose people? Let me tell you something, you will. You absolutely will. When you start setting boundaries, when you start demanding respect through your actions, some people will fall away. But those are the people who benefited from you having no boundaries. Those are the people who were comfortable with you being less than who you really are. Losing them is not a loss, it's a release. Because the right people, the ones who truly respect you, they won't have a problem with your standards. In fact, they'll appreciate them. They'll adjust. They'll meet you where you stand. And those are the relationships you want in your life. Relationships built on mutual respect, not silent tolerance. And here's the most powerful part of all this. When you start responding to disrespect the right way, something changes inside you. You begin to see yourself differently. You stop doubting your worth. You stop questioning whether you deserve better. Because every time you stand up for yourself, you are reinforcing the belief that you matter. It's not about winning arguments. It's not about proving a point. It's about protecting your value. It's about making sure that no matter where you go, no matter who you deal with, you are never placed in a position where you feel small, unheard, or disrespected. And I'm telling you, once you master that, once you truly understand that your response sets the standard, you will never allow yourself to be treated less than what you are ever again. That's power. Quiet, controlled, undeniable power. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you into something deeper now. The way you carry yourself when nobody is clapping for you, when there's no spotlight, no recognition, no applause. Because this right here, this is where your real worth is built. Not when everything is going right, not when people are praising you, but when it's quiet, when it's hard, when it feels like nobody even sees you. See, a lot of people base their confidence on validation. They feel good when they're complimented, when they're winning, when things are going their way. But the moment that disappears, so does their belief in themselves. And that's dangerous, because it means your identity is in the hands of other people. It means you need someone else to confirm what you should already know about yourself. I learned that confidence doesn't come from applause, it comes from alignment. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going, regardless of who's watching. Because let me tell you something, most of your journey is going to be walked alone. Most of your growth is going to happen in silence. And if you can't carry yourself with belief during those moments, you'll quit before you ever reach where you're supposed to be. There are going to be days when you're putting in work and nobody notices. Days when you're trying your best and it still doesn't seem like enough. Days when it feels like everybody else is moving ahead while you're stuck in the same place. And in those moments, it's easy to doubt yourself. It's easy to question your path. It's easy to slow down or even give up. But this is where your true character shows. This is where you separate yourself from the average mindset. Because average people need constant encouragement to keep going. They need results to stay motivated. But people who understand their worth, they move differently. They keep showing up even when it's hard. They stay consistent even when it's boring. They believe in themselves even when there's no evidence yet. That kind of belief is powerful. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's steady. It doesn't shake every time something goes wrong. It doesn't disappear just because things are taking longer than expected. It's built on something deeper than temporary emotions. It's built on self-awareness. And let me tell you something else. People can feel that energy. You don't have to say a word about how confident you are. You don't have to convince anyone of your value. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you handle situations, it all reflects what you believe about yourself. And when you truly believe in your worth, it shows in everything you do. You walk into a room differently. You don't shrink yourself to fit in. You don't look around for approval. You don't change who you are just to make other people comfortable. Instead, you stand firm in your identity. You move with purpose. You speak with clarity. And even if nobody says it out loud, people notice. They respect it. But here's the thing, it doesn't happen overnight. This kind of confidence is built over time, through discipline, through consistency, through showing up for yourself again and again. It's built in those moments when you don't feel like it, but you do it anyway. It's built when you keep your word to yourself, when you follow through on your commitments, when you refuse to quit even when it's uncomfortable. Because every time you do that, you're sending a message to yourself. You're saying, I can trust me. I believe in me. I'm not going to abandon myself. And that internal trust, that's where real confidence comes from. Not from what people say about you, but from what you prove to yourself. Now let me be real with you. There will be times when you feel invisible. Times when it feels like your efforts don't matter. Times when you question if it's even worth it. But you have to understand, just because nobody is clapping doesn't mean you're not making progress. Just because nobody sees it doesn't mean it's not happening. Growth is not always visible. Success is not always immediate. But if you stay consistent, if you keep carrying yourself with belief, if you keep doing the work when it's quiet, eventually it will show. And when it does, people will call it confidence. They'll call it success. They'll call it talent. But what they won't see is the silent work, the unseen effort, the moments when you kept going without any recognition. And that's what makes it real. That's what makes it lasting. Because when your confidence is built in silence, it doesn't break in noise. When it comes from within, it doesn't depend on anything outside of you. And that's the kind of presence that commands respect without ever demanding it. So carry yourself like you already know your worth, even when nobody else sees it yet. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you something that might be hard to hear, but it's going to change your life if you truly accept it. What you tolerate will always speak louder than what you say you deserve. You can talk about your worth all day long. You can post about it. You can declare it. You can even convince yourself that you believe it. But at the end of the day, your life will reflect not what you say, but what you accept. See, a lot of people are living in contradiction. They say they want respect, but they tolerate disrespect. They say they want honesty, but they stay around lies. They say they want growth, but they remain in environments that keep them stuck. And the truth is, the world is not confused by your words. It responds to your standards. And your standards are revealed by what you allow to continue in your life. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. There were moments when I knew deep down something wasn't right. Situations where I felt undervalued, overlooked, even disrespected. But instead of walking away, I stayed. I made excuses. I told myself things would change. I told myself I could handle it. And every time I did that, I was sending a message, not just to others, but to myself, that this is acceptable. And once something becomes acceptable, it becomes normal. And once it becomes normal, it becomes your reality. That's how people get stuck in cycles. Not because they don't know better, but because they don't act on what they know. They keep tolerating things that go against their value, hoping one day it will magically improve. But let me tell you something, things don't change until you change what you're willing to accept. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where your power comes in. The moment you decide that you will no longer tolerate what doesn't align with your worth, everything begins to shift. Not overnight, not instantly, but it starts with a decision. A firm, clear decision that says, I deserve better, and I'm no longer going to settle for less. And that decision is not proven by words, it's proven by action. It's proven the first time you walk away from something that no longer respects you, even when it's hard. It's proven when you choose peace over familiarity, when you choose growth over comfort, when you choose self-respect over temporary attachment. Because let me tell you, walking away is not easy. It requires strength. It requires clarity. It requires you to let go of what you've gotten used to, even if it's been hurting you. But here's the truth. Every time you stay in something that diminishes you, you lose a piece of yourself. And over time, that loss adds up. You start questioning your value. You start lowering your expectations. You start believing that maybe this is all you deserve. And that right there is the real danger. Because once you believe you deserve less, you stop reaching for more. But when you make the decision to stop tolerating less, something powerful happens. You reclaim your standards. You rebuild your identity. You remind yourself that your worth is not negotiable. And from that point on, your actions begin to reflect that belief. You start making different choices. You start setting boundaries without guilt. You start removing yourself from situations that don't serve you. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel alone. You might question if you made the right decision. But understand this, just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes discomfort is a sign that you're growing, that you're stepping into a higher version of yourself. And let me tell you something else. When you stop tolerating less, you create space for more respect, more opportunities. more alignment, because you're no longer filling your life with things that don't match your value. You're no longer settling for what's convenient. You're choosing what's right. And people will notice. Oh, yes, they will. Some will be surprised. Some will be uncomfortable. Some may even try to pull you back into your old patterns. But you have to stay firm, because this is not about them. This is about you. This is about the life you're building and the standard you're setting for yourself. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, not by what you say, not by what you hope, but by what you consistently accept or reject. And once you understand that, you realize that your worth has been in your control all along. It was never about waiting for someone else to recognize it. It was about you deciding to honor it. And the moment you truly make that decision, not just in your mind, but in your actions, that's when your value becomes undeniable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. Improving yourself doesn't happen overnight. It's not about some grand gesture or a sudden miracle. It's about the small steps, the choices you make every single day that shape who you are tomorrow. You see, life isn't about waiting for opportunity to knock. It's about becoming the kind of person opportunity wants to find. Every day is a chance to grow, to be better, and to step closer to the life you've always dreamed of. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with something that is absolutely crucial if you want to improve yourself day by day, and that is believing in yourself. Now, I don't just mean saying, yeah, I believe in myself, and then going about your day the same way you always do. I'm talking about the kind of belief that roots deep down in your soul, the kind that refuses to be shaken by failure, by doubt, by anyone telling you that you can't. Belief in yourself is the foundation of everything. You can have all the talent in the world, all the knowledge, all the opportunities lined up for you, but if you don't believe that you're capable, none of it will matter. You will stumble before you even get started, and life will pass you by while you sit there wondering, what if? I see it every day. People wait for someone else to validate them. They wait for someone to say, you can do this, or you're ready, you're good enough. And here's the thing, that validation will not always come. You cannot depend on others to give you the permission to chase your dreams. You have to give yourself that permission. You have to stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, I can do this. I will do this. I deserve this. And then you must mean it. It's not enough to say it if you don't believe it in your heart. You have to live it. You have to carry that belief with you through every challenge, every setback, every person who tries to tell you no. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is not thinking you are better than anyone else. It's knowing your value, understanding your strengths, and being willing to work hard to overcome your weaknesses. It's telling yourself that your dreams are valid and that you have what it takes to achieve them, even when the world doubts you. Too many people sell themselves short. They compare themselves to others, think they aren't good enough. But let me tell you something. There's nobody in this world exactly like you. Nobody has your experiences, your voice, your heart, your mind. And if you don't believe in your uniqueness, no one else will see it either. Belief in yourself also gives you courage. It gives you the courage to take risks, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to pursue things that scare you. Because here's the truth, growth happens on the edge of fear. You will never grow by staying safe, by playing it small, by doing the same things you've always done. Belief is what propels you to walk into a room full of strangers and network when you feel shy. It's what pushes you to start that business even when you're scared of failing. It's what motivates you to keep practicing, keep learning, and keep improving even when progress is slow. Without belief, fear will always win, and fear will keep you stuck where you are. And let's be honest, setbacks are going to happen. Life is going to knock you down. But when you believe in yourself, Setbacks don't defeat you, they teach you. They remind you that you are human, but they don't define you. The difference in people who succeed and people who give up is not that one group never fails. It's that the successful ones never stop believing in themselves when failure comes knocking. They take the lessons, adjust, and move forward with even more determination. I want you to understand something important. Believing in yourself is a daily practice. It's not something you achieve once and then check off your list. Every morning when you wake up, you have to reaffirm that belief. Every time you face a challenge, you have to remind yourself of your strength. Every time someone doubts you, you have to speak louder to yourself than the noise around you. This is how you grow day by day. You strengthen your belief muscle until it becomes unshakable, until it becomes the driving force behind every decision, every action, every step you take toward the life you want. Ladies and gentlemen, your belief in yourself is the first step on the journey of improvement. It is the spark that lights the fire of change, the energy that keeps you moving forward when things get tough, and the shield that protects you from negativity. Without belief, nothing else works. With belief, there is nothing you cannot achieve. You have to trust yourself, you have to honor yourself, and you have to commit to the idea that you are capable of greatness. So start today. Stand tall, hold your head high, and tell yourself, I can, I will, I am enough. Because the truth is, you've had that power inside of you all along. You just have to claim it and let it guide you day by day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about growth. If you want to improve yourself day by day, you have to embrace learning every single day. And I'm not talking about just school learning or reading a textbook. I'm talking about a mindset, a way of living where every moment is an opportunity to gain knowledge, to grow, and to become better than you were yesterday. The world is moving fast. Opportunities come and go like lightning. And the only way to keep up, the only way to make sure you're ready when life knocks on your door is to keep learning. You've got to be hungry for knowledge, hungry for understanding, and hungry for improvement. Too many people think they've learned enough. They think, I'm done. I know what I need to know. But let me tell you, the moment you stop learning, you start falling behind. Life is a classroom, and every day it is teaching you something. The question is, are you paying attention? Are you open to the lessons, or are you too proud to admit that you don't know everything? Even the most successful people on this planet, the ones you admire, are constantly learning. They read, they listen, they observe, they try new things, and they never stop growing. Embracing learning every day doesn't have to be complicated. It's about small steps that compound over time. It's reading 10 pages of a book a day, listening to a podcast that inspires you, learning a new skill, or even asking someone more experienced for advice. Every little bit adds up. Every small piece of knowledge is a brick in the foundation of your success. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. 10 minutes of learning every day might seem insignificant, but over a month, over a year, it transforms your mind. It changes your perspective. It changes what you believe is possible for yourself. And let's talk about mistakes, because learning and mistakes go hand in hand. Many people are afraid to try new things because they fear failing or looking foolish. But here's the truth: failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. Every time you stumble, every time you get knocked down, there is a lesson in that experience. There is something to learn about yourself, about others, and about the world around you. The key is to pay attention, to reflect, and to adjust. Don't just go through life hoping things work out. Learn from your experiences. Learn from your failures. Learn from the people who have walked the path before you. This is how you grow every single day. Embracing learning also means being curious. Curiosity is the fuel for growth. Ask questions. Ask why. Oh, and what if? Don't accept things at face value. Challenge yourself to understand more deeply. Explore new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new perspectives. The more curious you are, the more doors open for you. Knowledge doesn't just give you power. It gives you freedom. It frees you from ignorance, from fear, from limitations you put on yourself. The more you know, the more confident you become, and the more you can take control of your life. Another thing I want you to understand is that learning is not just for career or business. It's for life. Learn about people. Learn about relationships. Learn about money. Learn about health. Learn about how to communicate better. Life is complicated, and the more you understand it, the better equipped you are to navigate it successfully. When you commit to learning every day, you are investing in yourself in a way that nothing else can replace. You are building a mind that is adaptable, resourceful, and ready for whatever life throws at you. And here's the secret that many people miss: learning is not just about accumulating facts. It's about transformation. It's about taking what you learn and putting it into action. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. You can read all the books in the world, watch all the videos, listen to all the mentors, but if you don't apply what you learn, you're not improving. Every lesson you take in, you must practice, implement, and live. That is how you grow day by day, step by step. Ladies and gentlemen, when you embrace learning every day, you are choosing growth over comfort. You are saying yes to possibility, yes to opportunity, and yes to becoming the best version of yourself. You are giving yourself the tools to handle life's challenges, the wisdom to make better decisions, and the confidence to pursue your dreams without fear. Remember, growth is a journey, and learning is the engine that drives that journey forward. Every day is a chance to learn something new, to challenge yourself, and to move closer to the life you deserve. Don't waste a single day. Commit to learning, commit to growing, and watch how your life changes day by day. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about something that separates successful people from those who stay stuck, and that is taking full responsibility for your actions. I mean, really owning your life. See, so many people go through life blaming everything and everyone else for where they are. They blame their parents, their teachers, their boss, the economy, their friends, even the weather sometimes. And they wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you something. When you spend your life pointing fingers, you give away your power. You give away the one thing that can truly change your life: accountability. Taking responsibility is about understanding that your life is in your hands. If you want something different, you have to do something different. It's not the circumstances that hold you back. It's how you respond to them. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you react. You can't choose the cards you're dealt, but you can decide how to play them. And when you stop blaming the world and start blaming yourself, don't get me wrong, I don't mean beating yourself up, but recognizing your role in your life, you become unstoppable because now you are in charge. You see, accountability gives you power. It's the moment you stop saying, "They didn't give me a chance," and start saying, "I will make my own chance." It's the moment you stop saying, "Life isn't fair," and start saying, "I'm going to figure out how to win anyway." When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to fix things for you. You stop waiting for life to hand you what you want. You take the wheel and you drive your own destiny. And here's the thing, responsibility is not easy. It's easier to blame, to make excuses, to point fingers. It's easier to stay comfortable in your misery than to own up to your choices and their consequences. But nothing worthwhile is ever easy. Every successful person you know took responsibility for their life. They accepted that mistakes happen, that failures happen, and that life is full of challenges. But they also accepted that they are responsible for how they respond, for the effort they put in, and for the results they create. When you take responsibility, you also stop learning from your mistakes. When you stop blaming, you start reflecting. You see what went wrong, and you figure out how to do better next time. Every failure becomes a lesson, every setback becomes a stepping stone, and every difficulty becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. But if you keep blaming, you keep staying stuck, and nothing changes. Accountability turns every challenge into a teacher. It turns every problem into a chance to get better. And let me tell you something else. Responsibility creates respect. People respect those who own their lives. People respect those who don't make excuses. When you stand tall and say, I messed up, but I'm going to fix it, the world notices. And more importantly, you respect yourself. You gain confidence because you know that no matter what happens, you can handle it because you are in control. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is no one owes you anything. Life isn't fair. Doors won't open just because you want them to. But when you take full responsibility for your actions, you gain freedom. Freedom to make choices. Freedom to create the life you want. Freedom to grow day by day. Stop blaming, stop waiting, and start owning your life. Every choice you make, every action you take, it's yours. And when you own it, you change your life. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for opportunity. You create it. You become the kind of person who doesn't complain. You conquers. And that, my friends, is how real growth happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that is absolutely essential if you want to improve yourself day by day, and that is discipline. Now, I know when some of you hear the word discipline, you might think it's about being harsh, strict, or boring. But let me tell you something, discipline is freedom. Discipline is the thing that gives you control over your life. It's what separates people who dream from people who achieve. You see, talent can only take you so far. Motivation can only carry you for a little while. But discipline, that's what keeps you going when motivation fades. Discipline is what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Building discipline starts with small, consistent actions. It's not about making huge changes overnight. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even when you don't feel like it. Wake up early. Set goals and stick to them. Do the work when nobody is watching. The little things you do consistently are what compound over time. Think about it like this. Every time you choose to do the right thing, every time you push yourself instead of giving in to comfort, you're building a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, discipline becomes second nature, and you won't even have to think about it. It just happens. Here's the truth. Life is full of distractions. Social media, people who drain your energy, the temptation to procrastinate, the excuses that creep into your mind. Discipline is what keeps you focused despite all of that. You have to decide what you want, more comfort now or success later. Most people choose comfort, and that's why they stay stuck. But when you choose discipline, you choose long-term growth over temporary pleasure. You choose progress over excuses. And I promise you, the results are worth it. Every time you resist that temptation, every time you push through when it's hard, you're getting stronger, smarter, and closer to your goals. Discipline also builds character. When you commit to doing what's right, even when it's difficult, you develop integrity, patience, and resilience. People notice that. They respect that. And more importantly, you respect yourself. You gain confidence because you know that no matter how challenging life gets, you have the inner strength to stay consistent, to stay on track, and to keep moving forward. Discipline isn't just about work. It's about how you handle yourself in every area of life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your personal growth. One of the keys to building discipline is creating habits. Habits are like automatic behaviors that don't require constant willpower. When you make positive actions a habit, waking up early, exercising, reading, planning your day, sticking to your commitments, discipline becomes easier. You don't have to force yourself. It becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who does what they say they will do, and that mindset alone propels you forward. Remember, small habits repeated consistently lead to massive results over time. And let me tell you something else. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It's understanding that you owe it to yourself to grow, to improve, and to reach your potential. It's showing up for your own dreams when nobody else is pushing you. Most people quit because it's hard, because it's uncomfortable. But that's exactly why discipline matters. It keeps you moving when everyone else has stopped. It's the difference between talking about what you want and actually achieving it. Discipline also teaches you patience. You start to realize that success doesn't happen overnight. It's the small daily actions that add up. It's the consistent effort that moves you closer to your goals. You learn to trust the process, to stay committed even when results aren't immediate, and to celebrate progress, not perfection. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have over your future. You stop leaving things to chance, and you start designing your life with intention. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve yourself day by day, you must build discipline. Wake up early, work hard, stay consistent, create good habits, resist temptation, and push yourself when it's uncomfortable. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and staying committed to your own growth. It's the foundation of success, the backbone of achievement, and the key to unlocking your full potential. When you make discipline a part of who you are, there's nothing you can't accomplish. You will look back and see that all those small, consistent actions added up to a life far greater than you ever imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about success and growth. Who you surround yourself with matters more than almost anything else. I don't care how talented you are, how hard you work, or how smart you think you are. If you're around the wrong people, your growth will be stunted. You become like the people you spend the most time with, whether you realize it or not. Their habits, their mindset, their energy, they rub off on you. And if you're constantly around negativity, laziness, or doubt, it will infect your life. It's that simple. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Steve, these are my friends. I can't just walk away. I understand that. I get it. But listen carefully. You don't have to cut people out completely, but you do have to be careful about how much influence they have over your life. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to be better, and who genuinely celebrate your wins. The right people will lift you up, encourage your growth, and hold you accountable when you're slipping. They don't compete with you in a negative way. They motivate you to reach higher. Think about the most successful people you know. Look at their circle. Do they spend their time with people who complain, make excuses, or settle for mediocrity? No. They spend their time with people who are driven, ambitious, and positive. They understand that their network is their net worth. The right people give you energy. They make you feel like anything is possible. And when you're around them consistently, their mindset becomes yours. You start thinking bigger, dreaming bolder, and acting faster. And here's the thing. Sometimes the right people aren't even in your current circle. Sometimes you have to seek them out, find mentors, attend events, read books from people who inspire you, or join communities where growth is the standard. Don't wait for these people to magically appear in your life. Go find them. Surround yourself with individuals who have already achieved what you want to achieve. Listen to them, learn from them, and emulate their habits. You don't have to copy them exactly. but you need their influence guiding you. On the other hand, you also have to distance yourself from those who drag you down. And I mean, really distance yourself. I'm not talking about being rude or unkind, but you have to protect your energy. If someone constantly complains, criticizes, or discourages you, it doesn't matter how much talent or potential you have. You'll start to believe it too. Toxic people will convince you that your dreams are impossible. They will try to talk you out of going after what you want. And if you let them, you'll stay stuck. The right people lift you, the wrong people pull you down, and it's up to decide which direction you're going to go. Surrounding yourself with the right people also teaches you accountability. When you're around those who are disciplined, focused, and ambitious, they push you to do better. They don't let you off the hook. They remind you of goals when you're about to quit. They challenge you to stay consistent. And here's the beautiful part. You start holding yourself to a higher standard because you see it reflected in those around you. You start to expect more from yourself. Not because someone is forcing you, but because you've been inspired to be better. And let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just about business or career. It's about every aspect of your life, your mindset, your relationships, your health, your habits, and your personal growth. If you want to level up in any area, look at the people you're closest to. Do they embody the qualities you want in your life? If not, you need to make changes. Surrounding yourself with the right people is not selfish, it's self-respect. It's understanding that your future is too important to leave to chance or bad influence. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve yourself day by day, you must be intentional about the people in your life. Seek out those who inspire, motivate, and challenge you. Limit the influence of negativity, distraction, and toxicity. Your environment shapes you, your circle defines you, and your success depends on it. When you surround yourself with the right people, you don't just improve, you thrive. You grow faster, dream bigger, and achieve more than you ever thought possible. Choose wisely and watch how your life transforms. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about something too many people overlook, and that is gratitude. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Steve, I'm busy trying to get ahead. I don't have time to be thankful. But here's the thing. Gratitude is not just a feel-good idea. It's a powerful tool for personal growth and success. When you appreciate what you have, you open your mind and your heart to possibility. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing in your life to what's already working, and that perspective is everything. It's the difference between someone who complains and someone who conquers. See, too many people spend their lives chasing what they don't have. They're focused on the promotion they haven't gotten, the money they haven't earned, the recognition they haven't received. And while it's okay to have goals and ambitions, and I hope you do, the problem is when you forget to appreciate the journey, you miss the lessons along the way. Gratitude reminds you to pause, reflect, and acknowledge your progress even when it seems small. Because every step forward, every lesson learned, every challenge overcome is something to be thankful for. Gratitude also keeps you humble. When you recognize that you get where you are entirely on your own, that others have helped you, guided you, and supported you along the way, it keeps your ego in check. Humility is essential for growth because when you're humble, you're teachable. You're open to learning, to advice, to feedback. And when you're open, you continue improving day by day. Gratitude is like a mirror. It reflects back to you everything that's working in your life and reminds you that growth is not a solo journey. And here's another thing, gratitude creates resilience. Life is not always easy. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and failures. But when you practice gratitude, even in tough times, you train your mind to focus on what's possible rather than what's lost. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start to notice solutions instead of problems. And that mindset keeps you moving forward when many would give up. Gratitude gives you perspective, strength, and hope. And those qualities are critical if you want to improve yourself every single day. Gratitude also attracts more positivity into your life. It's like a magnet. The more you appreciate what you have, the more opportunities, people, and blessings seem to come your way. I'm not talking about luck, I'm talking about mindset. People want to be around who are positive, appreciative, and supportive. Your energy draws in more of the same. And when you combine gratitude with action, when you take what you have, appreciate it, and then use it to grow, you start creating momentum. Life begins to respond to your energy, and doors you didn't even see start opening. Another beautiful thing about gratitude is that it strengthens relationships. When you show appreciation to the people around you, your family, friends, mentors, colleagues, it builds trust and deepens connections. People notice when you value them. They respect you more. They want to support you more. Relationships are a big part of success, and gratitude ensures that those relationships are strong and genuine. It's not just about saying thank you. It's about living it, demonstrating it, and letting people know they matter in your journey. Finally, gratitude keeps you grounded while you strive for more. It reminds you that while you chase your dreams, while you work on improving yourself day by day, life is also happening right now. It reminds you to celebrate the wins, big and small, to recognize the progress, and to be thankful for the lessons along the way. When you combine gratitude with belief in yourself, learning, responsibility, discipline, and the right people around you, it completes the circle of growth. Gratitude ensures that your pursuit of success doesn't turn into a chase for more that blinds you to the value of what you already have. Ladies and gentlemen, never forget gratitude. Make it part of your daily practice. Appreciate your journey, your challenges, your lessons, and your achievements. Appreciate the people who support you, the opportunities you have, and the progress you make every single day. Gratitude will keep you humble, resilient, focused, and positive. It will fuel your growth, strengthen your relationships, and attract more of what you need to succeed. When you live with gratitude, you transform not only yourself, but the world around you. And that, my friends, is the power of being thankful every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Time is moving. Whether you use it or waste it, it's still going to pass. We are a few months away from 2026. That might sound far, but trust me, it ain't. If you don't do something now, you're going to wake up one day, 2 years older, and in the exact same place. And if that thought scares you, good. It should. That means you're ready for a change. Defining your life vision and sticking to it is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Without vision, you're like a ship without a compass, just drifting wherever the current takes you. And let me tell you, life's current doesn't always take you where you want to go. That's why it's absolutely necessary to sit down and get real with yourself. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what your mama wants. Not what your friends think is cool, not what social media is telling you to chase, but what you want. Deep down, what is the life that when you close your eyes, you dream about? What kind of impact do you want to make? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? You can't hit a target you can't see. And if your vision isn't clear, your actions won't be either. Once you've defined your vision, write it down, put it on paper, put it on your mirror, in your phone, wherever you need to keep it in front of you. Because distractions are real. Life has a way of pulling you in 100 different directions. And if your vision isn't solid and present in your mind, you'll lose sight of it. People will try to talk you out of it. Circumstances will test you. But when you've truly made that vision part of who you are, you'll keep going even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. Successful people move forward even when they don't feel like it. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on clarity. And clarity comes from vision. Vision gives you purpose. It makes the grind make sense. It gives meaning to the long nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices. When you know what you're working toward, every no becomes part of a bigger yes. Every failure becomes a lesson, not a label. When you have a vision, you stop wasting time. You stop comparing yourself to other people. You stop jumping from one thing to the next because you've already decided what your path is. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You just need to stay committed to your direction. That's where power comes from. Knowing where you're going and refusing to be moved by what other people say. Now let's be real. Holding on to a vision takes courage. It takes faith because sometimes the vision looks too big for where you are. Sometimes you'll question it. Sometimes it'll feel impossible. But that's exactly why you need it. Vision stretches you. It challenges you to rise higher than your circumstances. It demands that you grow, learn, adapt, and level up. And the beautiful thing is when you honor the vision, when you work toward it with consistency, even when no one sees it, life starts to shift, opportunities come, doors open, the right people show up. But none of that happens without that inner decision to define who you are and where you're going. And here's the real truth. No one else is going to do it for you. No one's coming to hand you a map. Your life is your responsibility. Your future is in your hands. That's why the vision has to come from within. It has to be personal. It has to be something that lights a fire inside you. Because when things get tough, and they will, you'll need that fire to keep going. When you fall in your will, you'll need that vision to remind you why you're getting back up. So don't just talk about it. Don't just dream about it. Define it. Lock in on it. And refuse to let it go. Cutting off negative people without apology is one of the hardest yet most necessary steps you must take if you're serious about growth. It doesn't matter how big your dreams are or how clear your vision is. If you surround yourself with the wrong energy, you're going to struggle to make progress. Negative people drain you. They don't just take up your time, they take up your mental space, your peace, and your motivation. They plant seeds of doubt when you're trying to grow confidence. They downplay your achievements, question your ideas, and keep reminding you of who you were instead of who you're trying to become. You cannot carry the weight of people who have no intention of climbing with you. It's not about being cold. It's not about thinking you're better than anybody else. It's about protecting your environment. You have to realize that every word you hear, every conversation you entertain, every person you give your time to is either feeding your spirit or starving it. Some people don't support you simply because they're not supposed to be on your journey. They were a part of one chapter in your life, but they don't belong in the next one. And if you try to drag them with you, they only hold you back, make you second guess yourself, or convince you to settle. You cannot grow if you're constantly surrounded by people who remind you of limitation, fear, and failure. Sometimes the most dangerous people in your life are not enemies. They're friends, family members, or longtime connections who are emotionally attached to the old version of you. They'll guilt-trip you when you change. They'll say you changed in a bad way when in truth you're evolving. You're waking up to your potential. And when that happens, it threatens people who are comfortable with staying the same. But you don't owe anyone your stagnation. You don't owe them your loyalty at the cost of your future. You can love someone and still choose distance. You can respect someone and still recognize they're not healthy for you anymore. You need people around you who challenge you, who believe in you, who push you higher. If someone isn't adding value to your life, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, then it's time to reevaluate that relationship. And you don't need to make a big announcement. You don't need to argue or explain. Just step back, create space. Stop answering calls. Stop making excuses for people who continuously drain you. Your peace, your energy, your time, they are not unlimited. Protect them. As you grow, your circle will get smaller. That's natural. But it will also get stronger, more supportive, and more aligned with the person you're becoming. Let go of the need to please everybody. Let go of the fear of disappointing others. If someone can't celebrate your progress, they don't deserve to walk with you in your purpose. Growth is lonely at first, but it's necessary. When you remove toxic voices from your life, you create room for new voices that speak life, encouragement, and power into your journey. Turning every failure into a learning opportunity is a mindset that separates those who make it from those who give up too soon. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of the process. Nobody in this world has ever accomplished something meaningful without stumbling along the way. The difference is successful people don't see failure as the end. They see it as a lesson, a redirection, a necessary experience that builds character, resilience, and wisdom. When you fail, you're not being punished, you're being educated. The pain you feel in failure is the price you pay for growth. It teaches you what doesn't work, who you shouldn't trust, what you should avoid next time, and where you need to improve. But that lesson only comes if you're willing to face failure without running from it. Too many people let failure define them. They fail once and decide they're not good enough. They hear no and assume they'll never hear yes. But what they don't understand is that failure is never final unless you quit. You can fall 100 times and still rise if you're willing to reflect, regroup, and go again. Every time you fall, you're getting stronger. Every time something doesn't work out, you're learning more about your craft, your calling, and yourself. That knowledge is priceless. And it doesn't come from success. It comes from the moments you thought you couldn't go on, but chose to keep moving anyway. The truth is, life is going to throw you challenges. Plans won't work out. People will disappoint you. Projects will fail. But if you use every single experience as a stepping stone, not a stopping point, you become unstoppable. It's about shifting your mindset from why is this happening to me to what is this trying to teach me? That one question can change everything. Instead of blaming, you start learning. Instead of sulking, you start strategizing. You become more self-aware, more humble, more focused, and that makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Every great inventor, leader, entrepreneur, or artist has stories of failure, rejected books, failed businesses, broken relationships, lost opportunities, all of it part of their journey. But they didn't stay down. They studied the failure, they used the pain, and they built something better. If they had let that failure make them bitter instead of better, the world wouldn't know their name. And the same goes for you. Your failures are shaping you. They are preparing you for your next level. They are showing you how much you really want it. Right? You have to be willing to take the hit, face the disappointment, and still show up the next day. That's how champions are made. Not through easy wins, but through hard losses. And the beautiful thing is, when you survive a failure and come back stronger, nothing can scare you anymore. you realize that failure isn't fatal. It's fuel. Fuel for your passion, your mission, your future. It becomes your story, your strength, your testimony. Waking up early and owning your mornings is one of the most powerful habits you can build if you're serious about changing your life. The early hours of the day carry a kind of peace and clarity that's hard to find once the world starts moving. When you wake up before the noise, before the distractions, before the demands of the day start pulling at you, you give yourself a head start, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. It's in those quiet early hours that your mind is the sharpest, your thoughts are the clearest, and your ability to focus is at its highest. Successful people across every industry understand the value of early mornings because they know it's not just about getting more done. It's about preparing your mindset before the world gets a chance to influence it. Most people wake up just in time to rush through their morning, grab something quick to eat, and run out the door feeling behind before the day even begins. That kind of start affects everything. It raises stress, kills creativity, and makes you reactive instead of proactive. But when you take control of your mornings, everything changes. You can move with intention. You can set your goals for the day, review your priorities, meditate, pray, read, or even exercise, all before most people are even awake. That level of discipline trains your mind to value structure and direction. And when your mind is in alignment, your actions follow. Waking up early teaches you how to be consistent. It's not about motivation, it's about decision. There will be days you don't feel like getting up, but you do it anyway because you've made a commitment to yourself. And every time you honor that commitment, you build trust in yourself. You become the kind of person who follows through. That's where confidence comes from, not from other people's praise, but from doing what you said you would do even when it's hard. That self-trust becomes a foundation that everything else is built on. There's also a spiritual power to the early morning. It's a time when distractions are low. Your soul is quiet and you can hear your inner voice more clearly. It's in those moments that you can reset, recenter, and refocus. Whether it's journaling your thoughts, listening to something uplifting, or simply sitting in silence and gratitude, those practices shape the energy you carry into the rest of your day. And energy is everything. When you start your day grounded and focused, you respond differently to challenges. You don't panic. You don't get thrown off by small things. You stay locked in. Building an early morning routine doesn't require perfection. It starts with consistency. Wake up just a little earlier. Use that extra time for something that fuels your growth. It could be learning a new skill, reflecting on your goals, planning your next move. Whatever it is, make it meaningful. The more you invest in your mornings, the more control you take over your life. It's not about being busy. It's about being deliberate. It's about setting a tone for your day instead of letting the day set it for you. Developing a no-excuse mentality is one of the most powerful decisions you can make if you're serious about leveling up in life. Excuses are comfortable, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. They give you something to blame, something to fall back on, something that keeps you from owning your life fully. But the truth is, as long as you keep making excuses, you're giving your power away. You're handing your potential over to circumstances, to people, to situations you can't control. And nothing great ever comes from that place. If you want something different, you have to do something different. That starts by taking responsibility. Real, honest, no nonsense responsibility for your choices, your time, your habits, and your mindset. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's been through something. You might have had a rough start. You might not have the support system others had. You might have failed more times than you can count. But guess what? None of that disqualifies you from greatness unless you let it. The world isn't going to pause and wait for you to get everything perfect. Life doesn't owe you understanding. It rewards those who rise anyway, who grind anyway, who keep showing up regardless of how unfair things might seem. That's the difference between those who dream and those who do. The doers don't wait for the right mood, the right moment, or the perfect conditions. They move even when it's inconvenient. They push even when it hurts. They keep going even when nobody claps for them. Excuses are seductive because they make you feel safe. They allow you to avoid discomfort, to stay in the familiar, to protect your ego from failure. But in doing so, they also block growth. You cannot grow and make excuses at the same time. You can't say you want to be successful and continue to blame time, energy, or other people for why you're stuck. A no excuse mentality means you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. It means you don't allow feelings to dictate whether or not you follow through. You make a decision and then you act. Whether it's raining, whether you're tired, whether no one is watching, you do it anyway because your vision demands it. That kind of discipline takes effort. It takes self-awareness. You have to catch yourself in the moment and be brutally honest about whether you're making progress or making excuses. You've got to stop romanticizing your potential and start executing your plan. You don't need more time, you need more commitment. You don't need more motivation, you need more discipline. You don't need people believing you. You need to believe in yourself enough to stop settling for average. And when things go wrong, and they will, you don't play victim. You ask, what can I do better? What did I miss? How do I fix it and move forward? That's ownership. That's maturity. That's leadership. When you adopt a no excuse mindset, you shift from waiting on opportunities to creating them. You start becoming the kind of person who gets things done, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Taking a leap of faith toward your dream is one of the boldest, scariest, and most rewarding moves you will ever make in your life. It's not something that comes with guarantees, and that's exactly why most people never do it. They wait for certainty. They wait for everything to make sense, for all the money to show up, for everyone around them to approve. But the truth is, that moment of perfect clarity rarely ever comes. Sometimes you have to jump before you see the landing. You have to trust that the net will appear or that you will grow wings on the way down. That kind of leap is not reckless. It's not foolish. It's faith in motion. And when you're driven by purpose and prepared with vision, that leap becomes the first step to everything you've ever wanted. The hardest part of chasing your dream isn't the work. It's not even the failure. It's the decision to start, to begin even when your hands are shaking, to move forward when your heart is full of doubt, to believe in something no one else can see. That takes courage. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of it. Everyone who's ever accomplished something great has had to face that moment of uncertainty, that fork in the road where they could choose the easy path or the uncertain one, the safe option or the dream. And the ones who win in life are the ones who chose the dream, even when it didn't make sense on paper. Your dream will demand sacrifice. It will cost you sleep, comfort, time, and sometimes relationships. It will test your patience and stretch your faith. But it will also awaken something powerful inside of you, a sense of purpose that routine living can never give you. It will push you to grow in ways you never imagined. It will teach you discipline, humility, creativity, and endurance. And most importantly, it will teach you what you're really made of. You'll start to realize that your potential was never the problem, your fear was. And the more you act in spite of that fear, the smaller it gets. Taking that leap doesn't mean you throw caution to the wind and forget all logic. It means you prepare as best you can and then trust the process. It means you do the work behind the scenes, sharpen your skills, study the craft, build your network. But you don't use preparation as a way to delay action. You move. You show up before you feel ready. You say yes before the fear talks you out of it. Because the truth is, the longer you wait, the louder the doubts become. But when you move quickly, when you act boldly, you give your dream momentum. And momentum is everything. There's something about chasing what's truly in your heart that brings out a fire you didn't know was there. You become focused, driven, and aligned. You begin to attract opportunities, connect with people on the same wavelength, and discover doors you never even noticed before. It's not magic, it's movement. You step out in faith and things start to shift. You stop just existing and start living with intention. You stop settling and start building something that matters.